All right, so confession. You know this, but I don't think everybody out there knows this. Me and Carly, we love this show here. We're trying to get you involved in it. I don't know if it's necessarily your cup of tea, but it's worth trying, everybody, if you want to watch bad reality TV.
I didn't think I was going to like Vanderpump, and it is good.
That's right. Vanderpump Rules is the name of the show. You can find it on Bravo, and the season premiere was last night. Well, after the end of last season, it seemed that one of the stars on the show, who's really crazy, I interviewed him last year, if you don't remember, here on The Jam, James Kennedy. He's the DJ on the show. He's kind of the wild child. He had made up with the cast because he had alienated himself. However, last night, his strongest ally, Lala, filled everyone in on why the James and Lala friendship is over. This prompts a conversation we're going to have, but take a look at this.
I feel like last year, James betrayed my trust. So for me, it's like, how could you stoop so low when I made sure that I was by the book a good friend?
At this point, my friendship with James is non-existent. When Rand and I were at Coachella, James has the audacity to say, "Come on, we all know each other inside and out, if you know what I mean." And I just wanted to vomit. Rand was absolutely not okay with it, and it was time for me to say, you know what, you don't even deserve my friendship anymore.
So let me give you a little bit of backstory for those who don't watch. Lala has been about as loyal of a friend to James as there is in Friends. So this woman's very loyal to him as a friend. They have an intimate history. She's now married to another guy. Engaged. James still hangs out with the crew, but he makes that comment, and now obviously the fiance is like, I don't want this guy around. Does he have grounds to make this claim? And if you were Lala, the woman in that video right there, would you honor your fiance's request not to be around that guy anymore?
So first of all, we're just going to ignore the fact she was getting something pierced in that video.
Yeah, that's kind of the norm with the show.
Yeah,
a lot of tattoos, a lot of plastic surgery.
Not the first needle that's gone in there, we'll just say that.
Her man drama. I think when I left people behind when I got serious about my husband, who was, of course, my boyfriend then. And you do it for the relationship. If it's what makes that person comfortable, if it's what's healthy for that relationship, I say you got
rid of all the people you had an intimate past with. You said they're gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you did it proactively. Didn't even need to be asked. You just knew that was the right thing
Didn't
to do.
need to be asked.
I don't think it's ever appropriate. I mean, I guess that it depends. Everyone has a line. It depends how far you're comfortable with. Maybe if they just kissed or something and you know that they're just friends and it was a silly thing, it's not a big deal. But if your partner like slept with someone else, you don't want that person in their life. That is a line that they crossed, and yeah, I would not be comfortable with that either.
Yeah,
and I would also understand like cutting other people out of my life if it made my partner more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it depends on what that relationship is now. Look, if it was like the person that, in high school, there was the person that was there first, and they've been friends ever since, and there's nothing there, then I don't care. Now, if it was somebody from a few years ago, and they had this hot, steamy relationship, and then it went just to friends, I'd be uncomfortable.
No.
But I guess another conversation here is, it's not necessarily what we saw there. What if your significant other said, hey, there's this girl that you run around with, this woman, that you run around with, I think it's a bad influence, or I don't like her, she's been rude to me.
Oh, if it's like a friend?
I prefer you don't hang out with her. Then what?
That's a harder one.
There's no intimacy issue there. It's just, she hasn't been nice to me, or I think she's a bad influence on you. I'd prefer, because nobody's going to tell their woman what to do, or you tell your man what to do, but I prefer you don't do it. Would you abide by that request?
I guess we'd have to get down to like what the reason was and why they were thinking. Because if it was someone, I feel like they would only make that request if that person was a bad influence on you. So if that person was getting me to do things that my partner was not happy with, I would be like, okay, let's see if we can still be friends. I can still be friends with that person and just try to not do those things. Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, that's the person you go home to. At the end of the day, you got to make sure that they're happy and your relationship is good.
Yeah, like my fiance, there's one of her friends that lives elsewhere that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah.
And I don't tell her not to hang out with her.
Yeah.
But I always enjoy when she's not around.
Yeah.
And I make that clear.
Name.
I will not do that on this show. I let keep my
Calling you
fiance. But if my fiance is listening, she's like, I know exactly who he's talking about. And I'm
So
always gonna
is
be
she
friends
just,
with
you
her.
feel like she's just a bad influence on your fiance?
Yeah, kind of. I think she can try to dominate a friendship, try and mold a person to be who they want. I also think she's kind of been disrespectful to me at times for no good reason.
So anytime my best friend and my husband, they're both Pisces. Anytime they've ever called a friend out, they have been 100% right. And I've stood up for the friend and I'm like, called them out and said, oh, you shouldn't be hanging out with them. Anytime they've identified a person like that in my life, they've been 100% right.
All right, there you go. That's a classic song, right?
Yeah.
Very classic song, Baby It's Cold Outside. So a radio station in Ohio, Cleveland to be exact, pulled this Christmas oldie from its playlist because some of the listeners said they could be offended by the lyrics that you hear in that song. We only got a small taste of it, but it goes on, look up the lyrics, and they say
2-3 verses.
Yeah, and they say the undertone of it during the Me Too era just doesn't fit, where this is kind of an aggressive guy who's basically begging, verbally being assertive to try and get a woman to stay with him for the night. I guess it's a sign of what the times used to be to right now, where it's like, I don't know if this fits. So they pulled it. The question is, did this Cleveland station make the right decision by removing this song? Or are they being a little bit too sensitive here?
I think that they did make the right decision to
Really?
do this. I mean, for years, people have called it the rape song. Like, if you actually listen to the
I never
lyrics,
knew this. This
it's
is
so
all new to me.
creepy. I know, because it's such, the song is like such a part of our Christmas.
It's a lovely
I was decorating
It's a
my
really
tree
pretty
playing
song.
it last night.
I think they need to just rework some of the lyrics to be more 2018 friendly. Personally, I feel like that's the solution to this, because they say, the girl says, the answer is no. Say, what's in this drink? Like, clearly this guy's like drugging her to get her to stay, and we just need to be able to say that's actually totally inappropriate. We can't be singing along to these things.
I don't think
Could
drugging.
be
I think
alcohol. Drugging was a strong word.
Yeah,
Like,
You think she just got too tipsy?
It's all speculative thinking.
but it's an easy speculation to
But
make, though.
I get
A
what
lot
you're
of people
saying.
far off.
see it that way.
I don't think it's far off.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lock that that's it, but you could see the connection made, especially in the era we're in today.
She's trying to say no. Like, just accept no.
It's
Let her go.
So at first I thought it was an overreach, because I'm like, here's a classic song. You can't say anything or do anything these days.
That's where I
but
was.
Then, when you look at the entire song, like, we all just know, baby, it's cold outside. Like, we all just know, like, the
docile
chorus.
tones,
Yeah.
it's got a good sound to
Yeah.
it.
When you I looked at all the words in this song, and she's constantly saying, no, I gotta go.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that is exactly what we're talking about in the Me Too movement.
Yeah. I think the underlying theme there is the woman has said no multiple times.
Yeah.
The guy's not getting
Accept
the message.
no.
That's not something
It's a
necessarily
new day,
plays.
guys. We gotta change.
Yeah, absolutely. Change is something that needs to be embraced sometimes.